hey, we can support this if you do this. They come back, well, we really want to do that, and it's just kind of a give or take.
It's the best backlot that I've ever been on.
Get your hands off of my wife!
As far as I'm concerned, this is movie magic.
Over the years, Hollywood has mined a rich vein of action and adventure in military subjects. The Department of Defense provides access to equipment and personnel for many film and TV projects. The goal, present a positive public image of the armed forces and enhance recruitment. Over the course of 2007, Recon got the opportunity to visit several movie sets and sample the real military. A frigid, late January afternoon in New York City, and it's mustering in time at the National Guard Armory in Midtown Manhattan. These soldiers are members of the 69th Infantry Division, the Fighting 69th as it's been known since the Civil War. Many of them are veterans of Iraq, but tonight they'll all volunteer to appear as extras in the blockbuster movie I Am Legend, starring Will Smith. It's set in New York, and they'll be acting as crowd control during a fictionalized evacuation of the city.
You're pretending to be who you are, so they want us to be soldiers. We are soldiers. So, and sometimes our normal reactions may not be exactly what they're looking for, so the director might be, you know, I know you guys would do this a little in one way, but try to do things a little bit different because it is a movie, so we have to adjust a little bit.
Well, from my end, now I can really see how all the extras come in, how they constantly cut, reset. I mean, it takes so much time, hours, just for 1 minute of the film.
All right, we'll see you in like 10 minutes.
A major movie set has some similarities to a military exercise. Among other things, it involves transporting large numbers of personnel and a lot of reset time punctuated by short bursts of activity.
Mommy, they have guns! It's okay, baby, they're in the Army like Daddy.
In this movie, a pandemic is ravaging the city, and Manhattan is being quarantined. Underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, the evacuation of the healthy is beginning.
Coming through, coming through, coming through.
Fortunately, we've never had to evacuate New York City because of virus or monsters or anything like that. But if we did, this is probably how we do it. It'd be a combined force with Navy, Coast Guard, military. And the actual troops that we're using here is the 69th Regiment of the New York Army National Guard, which would be the ones who would actually evacuate or assist in the evacuation of the city.
Get your hands off my wife! Get your hands off of my wife!
Will Smith plays an Army lieutenant colonel escorting his family toward the waiting Coast Guard helicopter.
They give him some problems escorting his wife off the barge because she hasn't cleared an eye retina scan or something like that.
Stand down! Scan her again! Stand down!
She clears, he gets her off the barge, she gets evacuated by chopper. At that time, there's total chaos in the city. The Brooklyn Bridge is being blown up. At that time, the crowd becomes hostile, and I say my line, return to shore, do not approach the barge, or you'll be fired on.
Of course, the guardsmen don't really fire on the crowd because they wouldn't in a real crisis. But the presence of the soldiers and military equipment gives the filmmakers something they desperately want in this science fiction film.
We're trying to be very authentic when it comes to evacuation procedures and the participation of military personnel and how the actions of the armed forces would be part of sort of the attempt to quarantine and preserve a city in this moment of crisis. And although we've taken some liberties, having real military personnel allows us a truthful feeling.
When you get the personnel and they've gone through military training and, you know, they know the gear and they know the uniforms and, you know, there's just an air of realism and naturalism that comes with working with the real people.
In most cases, this is what it would be like to a point. You know, it'd be a little bit more chaotic, you know, but it's fun doing it. It's a good experience. And in a way, it's just like training.
The Fighting 69th has just been unbelievable. Their troops add a sense of professionalism to this project that we would never, ever be able to get with extras.
We are the real deal. A whole bunch of group of guys here. Yeah, we're the real deal, United States Army.
And the Pentagon seems to be getting what it wants when it agrees to support an entertainment project like I Am Legend.
Well, it's basically a recruiting effort. Most people find out about the military services that they join later on through seeing them on television or on a movie. But not everybody has the luxury of seeing the Coast Guard live near the coast. They don't live near the coast. They're not going to see the Coast Guard in action themselves, but they will see it on film or on the screen.
We had a young man, a soldier here with the 69th. His time was up in the National Guard. He was scheduled to get out. When he found out that we were hiring extras, that the production company wanted to hire actual soldiers as extras, he re-enlisted.
Producers have been borrowing a few good service members and top-of-the-line equipment and materiel since the silent film days. Although the 1927 Oscar winner Wings wasn't the first film to get military support, it set the gold standard for movies that followed. The movie's crew pretty much had the run of Army Air Corps facilities near San Antonio, Texas for 9 months, crews and planes.
Saddle up! Saddle up!
2 decades later, most of the John Wayne classic Sands of Iwo Jima was shot on Camp Pendleton, California, using real Marines as extras. It also established Wayne as the movie's typical American military hero, tough but good-hearted, fighting bravely in a noble cause. Through World War II and on into the mid-1960s, dozens of movies with military themes got official support. All that changed in the Vietnam era when Wayne's The Green Berets was the first and for many years the only Hollywood film to portray what became an increasingly unpopular war.
All real Americans love the sting of battle.
Patton, released in 1970, was one of the few war films during the Vietnam years that both got strong DoD support and was widely successful with audiences. George C. Scott's rousing portrayal of General George Patton won an Oscar, but the military support was limited, mainly because there wasn't much World War II-era equipment left in circulation by the time Patton went into production. The first Vietnam films released after the war, like Apocalypse Now, were made without DoD support. Most were critical of the war and sometimes critical of the military as well. Attitudes began to change in the mid-1980s. That was reflected in Top Gun, about the Navy's school for elite fighter pilots, starring Tom Cruise as a self-centered but talented pilot who learned the value of real teamwork. Top Gun became in some ways a highly successful Technicolor recruiting ad. It also projected a positive view of the military life for the first time in nearly 2 decades of American movies. That began a period that continues to the present, with the Department of Defense and individual services supporting many more projects and being more flexible about what projects they will support. Some, like We Were Soldiers, extol heroism like World War II movies. Others, like Black Hawk Down, portray desperate effort with a negative outcome.
You're under attack!
The summer 2007 blockbuster Transformers is science fiction. So is I Am Legend, which premiered at the end of the year. Iron Man, based on a comic book, is scheduled to hit theaters in May of 2008. There are certain ground rules that must be followed to get DoD support. Military personnel must be depicted accurately and realistically. Military actions in fictional situations must be carried out in a manner that reflects current practices and doctrine. Producers must submit a script to the individual service that would be involved and to the Central Defense Department Entertainment Liaison Office at the Pentagon.